Hey everyone, Amy here from Revitalized RX. Did you know that 75% of people will experience neck pain at some point in their lifetime? Could this possibly be due to text neck, us always being on our phones? People tend to spend an average of 4 hours a day looking at their cell phones or tablets. I'm going to be sharing 6 tips you need to know when dealing with neck pain. Neck pain is one of the two most common physical ailments that we treat. Yes, you could probably admit that at some point in your life, you've dealt with it, or maybe you are currently dealing with it. So I want to provide you the tools and resources you need. So stay tuned. I'm going to be sharing 6 tips to improve or alleviate neck pain. Now, I want you to keep in mind that this may not be a pick one and it's solved. Typically, most people are going to tend to get better results when many of these tips are going to be combined rather than doing them alone. So let's get into our tips. What are these 6 tips? The first one is we have to start addressing the cause. 9 times out of 10, where we feel our pain isn't necessarily where the cause is coming from. Number 2, we have to step off the wheel. Is your busy life affecting your health? High stress and rushing about can increase the tension that we feel in our body. That goes right along with number 3. We have to minimize stress. Stress and anxiety can lead to us being in more of a fight or flight state, which is going to shift our breathing patterns, and it's going to cause us to have more tension. Number 4 is we have to open up our chest. As I said before, we tend to spend a lot of time in more forward postures on our phone, our tablets, on computers. So trust me when I say that most of us are going to have chest tightness that is contributing to our neck pain. And this leads us into number 5, which is our pesky psoas. The psoas muscle is usually a main contributor to a lot of issues in the body, including neck, back pain, as well as headaches. And number 6, we have to get balance. 95% of our clients that come in to get treated, their pelvis is imbalanced and it's likely contributing to neck issues. So a balanced pelvis is key with a lot of our health issues in our body. Now that I've shared our top 6 tips, let's dive deeper into each one. I'm going to be sharing in the description specific techniques or articles that you can use to further understand each of these tips. So our first tip was addressing the cause. Just focusing on treating the symptoms will never give us long-term results. These knots and tension that we feel in our upper back, our mid back, and neck are literally just symptoms. But the contributing factors for them are usually coming from elsewhere. So I'm going to ask you, how's your posture? Now, don't go ahead and change it, but just tune in as you're sitting there, as you're standing. How's your posture? What are you feeling? Do you feel slouched and that you're being pulled forward? Does your chin jut forward? As a society, we tend to spend a lot of time in front of the computer, driving, on our phones, and all of these will contribute to bringing our posture forward. When we go forward in our posture, it is going to shorten and tense the muscles in the front of the body. Then secondarily, that upper back and those neck muscles are going to strain to start to support that head that is moving forward. Did you know that your head weighs 10 to 12 pounds? Can you imagine the impact that this has as your head is going forward, how much overworking these muscles have to do over time? When they start to become overworked, they're going to fatigue, they're going to spasm, ultimately leading to chronic tension as well as knots in those areas. So we can continue to rub those knots out, and you can do that for short-term relief, but it's never going to give you the results that you're looking for. So I want you to stay tuned as I'll be sharing 2 key areas that we want to treat that's bringing our posture forward. Number 2 is we have to step off the hamster wheel. Let's be honest, we all lead busy lives. Many of us are rushing around, frantically running from activity to activity, checking those things off of our to-do list. But eventually, we may not notice it, but we start to feel overwhelmed. Our mind begins to race. We can't quiet our mind or decrease the tension in our body. So now this continual tension eventually leads to exhaustion and pain. So we have to choose to step off the hamster wheel of a frantic life. But how do we do that? So some tips that I have on how to start to do that is, first off, we have to be aware that this is happening. And the second thing is we have to choose to want to stop it and to make a change. Third, we always encourage to utilize your breath. Just focus on your breath, slow it down, bring your breath into those areas of tension. And also, it can be very helpful to really imagine rooting and finding your feet on the ground, grounding you. And as you're doing your breath, as you're grounding, then start to also work on quieting your mind. And I encourage to, when you're starting to learn your breath and quiet your mind, just focus on one thing. It may be bringing your breath to an area. It may be a sound. This can help us really start to slow down and to quiet down. And then every single day, choose at least one thing to do that day that brings you pure joy. The third thing was minimizing stress. And this goes right along with stepping off of that hamster wheel. When we are stressed, when we have anxiety, it's going to put us into what we call a fight or flight state. This is going to change our breathing patterns. A lot of us will tend to start to be chest breathers or upper back and neck breathers. This is going to lead to tension in those areas. So I want you to check the description above where I share more information on ways that you can minimize stress. And the fourth one, we're starting to get into those 2 key areas that I said that we need for correcting our posture change. The first one is opening up the chest. So do you remember when I talked about addressing the cause? So opening the chest is one of these key areas. Posturally, most of us are being pulled forward, slouched, and the chest is becoming shortened and taut, causing those upper back and those neck muscles to overwork, leading to that tension, those knots, and that pain. So I want you to check the description above. I'm actually sharing 2 techniques that you can utilize to help start to open up your chest. And then the second area that we want to start treating is that pesky psoas. You know, it seems like I'm always talking about that pesky psoas. It is one of our hip flexor muscles. The psoas is a very important muscle and can contribute to a lot of issues that we're having in our body, including neck pain, low back pain, headaches and migraines, abdominal pain, distended abdomen, menstrual cramps, digestive issues, hip and upper thigh pain, as well as knee and ankle pain, the entirety of the body. The psoas is a main contributor into a lot of these areas. You know, we tend to spend a lot of our day walking, bending, sitting. All of these activities are going to work that hip flexor region, which is going to shorten that hip flexor muscle. So also remember when I'm talking about that forward posture that most of us are in throughout the day. Well, this area is a key contributor to pulling us down and forward. So learning how to correctly self-treat your psoas can be beneficial for most of us, for a lot of issues that we have in our body. So check out the links in the description, and I'm going to share 2 different ways that you can release that pesky psoas. One is an indirect way, which is what I encourage you to start with, and the second one is a more direct way to release that area. So our final tip is we have to get balanced. Did you know that neck pain, headaches, back pain, as well as hip pain could all be linked to whether the pelvis is in balance? 95% of people that we treat have an imbalance in their pelvis. So what exactly does this mean? If you imagine and put your hands on your pelvis, you're going to have two bones in that pelvis on each side, one on each side. In relation, one is rolling forward and one is typically rolling back. So how does this relate to the neck? If that pelvis is in balance, it is because everything is interconnected. When that pelvis rolls forward, you are going to get a twist that is coming up through the spine. It is going to impact all the way up to the neck, creating an imbalance. And in most people, it starts to create a compression, especially when we posturally start to tighten down. This is going to cause strain over time. So creating balance in this pelvis is going to be beneficial for our overall health. Now, for most of us, we don't know if our pelvis is in balance or not, and we don't know how to address it. So I have found it beneficial for you to actually work with a healthcare practitioner that can help you understand what's happening at your pelvis and how to find balance. Neck pain can be so annoying and limit our daily activities. But when you start to treat the underlying cause, you're going to be given long-lasting relief that you're hoping for. So I hope you found these 6 tips to be helpful. Share with us in the comments your thoughts, your experience with your neck pain. If you found this video helpful, we would love for you to give us a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. Thank you so much, and stay tuned for more videos.